Hello all you wonderful, beautiful, and craptastic people. CraptasticJack here, and a little disclaimer before we begin the video. I do get really heated in this video. This is pretty off the cuff, scripted stuff. So really, I get really heated, so bear in mind. The main point I'm trying to get across is the Crew 2 is dead, and the Ivory Tower really need to step up. And there are a lot of problems I mentioned with the Crew, but if you have any issues of the Crew that you have yourself, don't hesitate to use the hashtag save the Crew 2. The Crew 2 is really in need of some saving, so maybe spread this around. Maybe we can actually get some sort of, some sort of message or something, some sort of answer from Ivory Tower to see what the hell is going on behind the scenes and why the Crew 2 has been so lackluster these past couple months. But that's pretty much it. Enjoy the video. Ivory Tower, what the fuck are you doing? So, believe it or not, the Crew 2 is dead. I really, ever since PvP was announced to be in December, I feared this day coming. I mean, the Crew 2's been dead for a while. Let's not lie to ourselves. The Crew 2 is dead, okay? The Crew 2, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. I don't know what the fuck Ivory Tower is doing. I'm sorry. Just looking at the Crew 2, whenever I go on the Crew 2, I'm just overcome with disappointment. I'm overcome with, it's the same feeling I get when I play Need for Speed Payback. It's always just I feel like it's so hard to describe. I always feel like the game could have been more. The game can be so much more. Missed opportunity. That's what I'm on about. Missed opportunity. The Crew 2 is missed opportunity. And I don't know what the fuck they're doing. The game's been out for 4 months, and we have gotten nearly nothing when it comes to updates, when it comes to content updates. We've been getting bug fixes on that, sure, but we've had one major update, and if you can even call it really major, it was shit that no one really cared for. No one really cares for hovercrafts. When you take a sample size of, say, 10 Crew players and ask them, okay, what do you play the Crew for? They're gonna most likely say for the racing, for the cars. Okay? They're gonna say it for the cars, the trucks, and all that. Whether that be rally racing or street racing. That's what they'll probably say. That's what the Crew 1 built its success off of. The racing. That's pretty much what it built itself off of. The end game was about PvP, trying to be the best racer. That was all pretty much what the Crew was about. Faction missions, all that shit. Outrunning the cops. Nearly none of that is in the Crew 2 at this current moment in time. Sure, you can race your friends, but that's really it. There's no structured PvP. There's no competitive PvP. There's no cop chases. There's no faction missions. This is all shit that led to the Crew 1 being played again and again and again, especially for people like me who really enjoyed the first Crew. That's what kept us coming back. Replayability is what kept us coming back to the Crew 1. And the Crew 1 had a lot of this stuff at its launch. It had all this shit at launch. So why the fuck does the Crew 2 not have nearly any of that stuff? Sure, it has the racing, but the street racing is shit. Most of the time you're just racing on roads and you're having the fat guy in the wheelchair yelling at you saying, hey, street racing's bad, we shouldn't street race on the streets. What the fuck kind of a street racing story is that? Okay, Ivory Tower, what the fuck? And then, the game itself feels like a sampler. That's pretty much the best of what I can describe it as. It's a sampler. It's trying too many things at once. And I made a video about this long ago, before the game even came out, where I feel like Ivory Tower's putting so few eggs in so many baskets that each basket doesn't have enough eggs, and that's exactly what's happening here. All the different disciplines feel like samplers, and they seem to be, according to their plan for their post-content launch shit, they're adding new disciplines with every major update. At this point, they should not be doing that. They should be focusing on adding more meat to the bones when it comes to already existing disciplines than adding new disciplines outright and having them be lackluster. Because you have the hovercraft races. You only have 10 of them. That's pretty lackluster, if you know what I mean, for a discipline. I mean, if you're gonna focus on bringing a new discipline to the game, flush it out. Why is there's not enough street races, even though street racing seems to be the main focus of the game? There's not enough hypercar races. There's not enough dirt races. There's not enough of anything really, and there isn't enough replayability, and that's a major point. Why the fuck the Crew 2 didn't launch with everything the Crew 1 had, but more? That should be the basis for a sequel. The basis for a sequel should be take everything that made the first game great, add it into the second, and then expand upon it. Why the hell Ivory Tower just decided to remove half the shit from the first game and then add shit that doesn't need to be added in? Sure, I like the planes and I like the boats. They're fun as hell to drive and fly, but I don't play the Crew for that stuff. Like, sure, they're cool to fly around every once in a while, but I don't play the Crew to do that necessarily. When I'm on the Crew 2, I'm usually on the ground in a race car or in a dirt car. Most of the times a race car, but still. So you already have proven shit which seems to work. Like, you had Wild Run, that was great. Calling on units could have been a lot more fleshed out. That was very bare bones. But since they were working on the Crew 2 at the time, I can understand. But calling on units, if they fleshed that out even more, it would have been another great expansion. So why? You have two expansions there where one was really good and the other was really good if you fleshed it out a bit more. Why didn't you take that and put it into the second game and expand upon it? Hell, Wild Run kept me and my friends playing with the new rewards and everything every month and every week and shit. So everything resetting every week, multiple times a week actually now as well. We just took that and we kept playing the game. We kept coming back. Replayability. There was something bringing us back to the game every week, whether that be a new Ferrari or a new car or more money. Exactly, rewards and stuff to keep people coming back. And then with the calling on units, the new police pursuits every day, the new routes and the new stuff, so you can keep building your car collection by earning cards and stuff. After doing all the events and stuff, earning parts and everything, that kept people coming back. That, again, more replayability. Gator Rush is not gonna bring people back for very long. It may have brought back a couple people, for a little bit, but once they're done with the shit, if they can even bother to get through with the shit, because Gator Rush is frustrating as hell. The what's it called races? They're the hovercraft races. They're frustrating as hell. So why? So the people might not even do them all. I've only done 3. I'm back on Horizon. So I mean, why in God's name do you think that that's gonna bring people back? It's not. Stuff like PvP will bring people back. Stuff like adding the police chases from calling on units back, that will bring people back. Stuff like Wild Run, that will bring people back. Why faction missions? Again, new faction missions. Why is that not coming back? Ivory Tower, honestly, looking at Forza Horizon 4 and the Crew 2, I honestly thought the Crew 2 was gonna blow Horizon 4 out of the water, because I thought Horizon 4 was just gonna be like Horizon 3, another lackluster, stale racing in that big game that would be cool for a month, and then after that we're gonna be eh. But Horizon 4 is looking to be it's gonna be looking pretty good to be around for a long while. I mean, and their content updates are a lot better planned than the Crew 2's. And the Crew 2 and the Horizon 4 doesn't bill itself to be an MMO RPG, which is something an MMO should have regular, at least weekly updates. Honestly, at least something weekly, if you know what I mean. I like how Forza does something daily, but at least weekly at the minimum. They can't there's no excuse, Ivory Tower. There's just straight up no excuse that something we should be getting new content every week, a new race or something, because at this point we're getting races, new events every 3 months. Who that's not that. Who thought that was a good idea? Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, with the amount of events you already have in the game, how is only adding a bunch of them every quarter, every 3 months, a good idea? I'll just tell you right now, it isn't. It's not a good idea to be doing that, especially when your competitor's adding new shit, especially an event race maker into their game after the first month, okay? And they're adding new events every week with the new seasons. So why should I bother to wait for the updates with Ivory Tower's game if Horizon 4 over here is already adding all that shit already, if you know what I mean? So I have no idea what's going on. And also, the Crew 1 had a race editor. It was pretty shit, but still, it had a race editor. Why isn't there a race editor in the Crew 2? Why is it PvP? Like, all of these things, they just don't add up. And I feel like it was made, they did that so they can put more time and effort into the planes and the boats, which, like, they would have been cool as add-ons, like as DLC, like how the bikes were with the Crew 1, but, like, there's no reason for them to be in the game aside from a unique selling point. And they put so much effort into the planes and boats that other things like the world and like all that, like the map itself, they're all lackluster. The map itself, you go into Chicago, half the landmarks are missing. You go into intersections, there's no stoplights at any of the intersections. You go into New York and Brooklyn, all like there used to be a bunch of like city streets, like small city streets and stuff. They're all replaced with big ass avenues. Like there's a lot less detail in the world, if you know what I mean. Now some places like downtown LA got a complete remake, like a makeover. But yeah, any of the other cities which either got removed or they're just not as detailed. I don't really understand what's going on here. Aside from some more copy-pasted trees, like you go into New York, like outside New York, like Pennsylvania, and there's giant redwoods. Like that's, like you can tell it's just copied and pasted. So I have no idea what they were really doing, if you know what I mean. And now we have PvP coming out in December, and I honestly don't believe that's gonna fix the Crew. I mean, PvP's cool and all, it's but it's one thing that kept us coming back out of how many that the Crew 1 had. It's one thing, you know? And with the way they're doing the whole part system, the fact that you can do an ace mode event and you don't come out with any gold parts, that's I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That's complete horseshit. If you win an ace mode race, you should at least get one gold part. I just did 3 trying to get gameplay for this, and I didn't get any gold parts. Now, who knows? I still have to get some more gameplay, so I will be playing it a bit more. I might get one after that, but I'm sorry. Like, that's horseshit how I'm automatically getting a gold part for finishing a ace mode race. That's bullshit to me. There shouldn't be this giant RNG factor, especially when it comes to PvP. When it comes to PvP, it should really come down to the best driver and the best car. Not necessarily the best car, because then the LaFerrari, we all know, is going to be all overpowered and all that. It should really come down to the best driver, if you know what I mean. Everything should be balanced in a way where it doesn't, like, obviously, if you're putting up a fucking Beetle against a LaFerrari, obviously the LaFerrari is going to win, regardless of the skill level, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, it should really come down to skill, especially in PvP. It shouldn't come down to RNG, which is what I feel like the Crew 2 is going towards, if you know what I mean. Like, the Crew 2, it's the loot, and it's all bullshit, with all the perks as well. It's just complete bullshit. There really shouldn't be perks when it comes to performance parts. The perks should be like the Crew 1 where you have to buy them with money. That was good. Do it like that. But the perks with all the fucking parts and get that shit out of here. No, that's not how it should be. Especially with PvP, okay? PvP should really come down to the wire when it comes to skill. That's really all it should be. But I don't think PvP could even save this game at this point. What really can save this game is if Ivory Tower steps up to the plate and redoes their whole content update plan, if you know what I mean. I mean, we don't know anything about it past December, so who knows if they can do this, but they seriously need to rethink of how they release content. It can't be this whole 3 months bullshit, if you know what I mean. We can't wait 3 months. And I feel like they really need to stop adding more disciplines because there's not enough meat. The game's just going to continue to be a sampler of different other types of motorsport, which I can go to other games to play. Like, I'm not going to be sticking around to the game to get the full deal, if you know what I mean, which is what I should be. The Crew shouldn't be focusing on so many different fucking things. It should be focusing on a select few, if you know what I mean. Like, and the Crew 1 did that well. It's focused on asphalt racing and it focused on off-road racing, you know, and it did those things well, if you know what I mean. Sure, there should have been a bit more, like PvE content in the game, I wish, but other than that, it still did those pretty well, flushed them out pretty well. But this game again, it's just a sampler. There's not enough to warrant like me sticking around for much of it. And the huge ass world, there's no cops, there's no nothing. Like, it's one of the least reactive open worlds I've ever seen. I mean, like, there's nothing really to do aside from just to copy paste the trees and all that. And it's not fun to drive around. Like, I just fast travel everywhere. The Crew 1 was such a brave new world. Like, you're driving around everything. The world feels alive despite the fact that there's less copy pasted trees, guys. the world felt alive. Like you had emergency vehicles going wee 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 wee, like ambulances, fire trucks, and all that. And then when you went to different cities, each city felt unique, like with the different street lights and everything, the different traffic lights. Like, like when you were driving in New York, you felt like when you were in New York. When you were driving in LA, you felt like you were in LA. When you were driving in Texas, you felt like you were driving in Texas. Now it all feels completely the same. It all feels neutered. The open world was neutered. And you had the different cops for different cities, like they had the different liveries. Why remove all that? Honestly, if it made the game better, why remove it? If you know what I mean. I really don't understand. But the main takeaway is the Crew 2 is dead, and Ivory Tower really fucked up. They really fucked it up. I mean, especially with the content. The main thing that they can do right now is after PvP comes out. Also, PvP, Kings of Mayhem, I have a feeling that's going to be fucking Demolition Derby or something like that, because we already have monster trucks in the game, so I have a good feeling it's Demolition Derby. And with the crash physics in the Crew 2, I don't know how the fuck that's gonna work, but who knows? And it's just another discipline that they don't need, that the game does not need, but it's probably not gonna be fleshed out enough. And I'm sick of them doing that. They need to focus on what's already in the game. They have a strong basis for a lot of great things. They need to focus on that instead of adding new shit that really doesn't need to be in the game right now. Now, if the game were alive and had like already all this shit for existing disciplines and had a lot of shit for different existing disciplines, then I'd say, hey, go ahead, do something like Gatorish. Go ahead, do something like Demolition Derby. But it's not what the game needs right now. What the game needs is replayable content, stuff that brings us back every day, every week. And it needs content added a lot more regularly. We're just getting new content every 3 months, and that's honestly bullshit. That's bullshit. Like, we should be getting it more often. I'm not saying not to be entitled. I'm saying to keep this game alive, you need to add shit more often than 3 months. Especially when you were trying to run an MMO RPG. You're running an MMO, it needs PvP, it needs stuff to bring its players back. Because the story was shit. I'm not even gonna fucking lie here. The story was absolute garbage for a racing game. That was one of the worst stories, if you can even call it that, of any racing game I've ever played. So, like, they need to step up to the plate, honestly. I don't know what this whole fucking bullshit with the street racing, but it's not illegal, but it's also illegal, but it's not legal, but it's not illegal. Like, and the hypercars were like, oh, this is illegal as hell, but like we're still gonna have like a whole event and like parties and shit. Like, what the fuck was that? Honestly, come on, Ivory Tower, coming from the people who did the first Cruise story, which was really good. Like, it painted the mood for like a whole illegal, illicit underground thing. But I don't fucking understand what Ivory Tower's thinking right now. They really need to shape up, or their game's gonna go dead. It's just gonna, the player base is gonna crumble. The player base already has pretty much crumbled. You pretty much just have the base level of the hardcore people who are pretty much playing this game, or the people who just got it new. So you really just have the very foundation of people. You used to have this huge ass wall of people playing the game, but then that just crumbled to the very foundation. And that's what's keeping this game alive. And honestly, if it weren't for these people, this game would be dead. There'd be 0 people playing it. It'd be like the Culling 2. Nobody playing it. So, yeah, that's my rant. I mean, I have a feeling that, Ivory Tower, they need to fucking listen, honestly. They need to listen to what the community's saying. I don't feel like they're saying that. I don't feel like they're listening to the community enough. Because they just aren't. That's what it doesn't feel like we're being listened to. I mean, it feels like back in the old days with Need for Speed, with Rivals and all that, I don't feel like we're being listened to. The community obviously wants more racing and all that, but like stuff the community actually wants seems to be coming out. Like the racing line. A lot of people want that overhead racing line from the Crew 1, but apparently that's not as important as people wanting hovercraft races, if you know what I mean. And apparently they keep saying, oh, well, we need to discuss it internally with our teams. It's bullshit. If you need to internally discuss something with your team that a lot of the community, a large portion of the community wants, then that's horseshit. You need to listen, get off your high horse and start listening to the community for what they want, you know? Well, that's going to be all for now. I'm going to start, again, I do this all the time. Hashtag save the Crew 2. Maybe get this trending, because I know I'm not the only one speaking out about this. I know Cam made a video a while ago talking about how the Crew 2 is dead. I think he used the Crew 2 is dead as well. Well, I'm gonna steal that title as well. The Crew 2 is dead. There's nothing to say it. Horizon 4 curb stomps the Crew 2 any fucking day of the week. So, and I'm really passionate about the fucking game. Like, I love the Crew 1. I have nearly 1,000 hours of the Crew 1. The Crew 2 is such a fucking disappointment, and it's gotta change. It's gotta find some life somehow, or else the Crew 2 is just, and the Crew in general, the whole franchise can just go bye-bye out the window. So, I don't really know what the fuck. Ivory Tower's walking a thin fucking line right now, so they need to step up. Maybe using the hashtag might get their attention a bit more to this whole issue, if you know what I mean. So hashtag save the Crew 2 if you want to hopefully see some results from Ivory Tower. And they obviously need to say something about what's going on, because they can't just sit in the dark like this, like they have. So yeah, that's very long rant, 20 minutes. I didn't really intend to go that long, but it's fine. What unscripted, you know, but I'm just speaking from the heart, honestly. And I'm just talking a bit more to get to 20 minutes. But that's going to be all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to click subscribe. If you want to see more Crew content, Need for Speed content, etc., Forza content, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.